The UK bacon market is worth over £1.3 billion a year. Every week, millions of rashers go from packet to pan across the country. But what happens between those two moments? The white foam in the frying pan, the rashers that shrink to half their size before they have had a chance to crisp. That is the part the packaging is designed to make you forget. Today, we are naming 11 supermarket bacon brands to avoid, and 3 that are actually worth your money. Number 11. Asda Just Essentials Back Bacon. This is where the floor is. Around £1.50 for a pack, and for a lot of families right now, that is the only number that matters. But the pan tells you what the price tag does not. Put these rashers in a hot frying pan, and within 60 seconds, you are not frying. You are boiling. A white milky liquid floods the base of the pan, the rashers shrink into wrinkled strips half the size they started, and the smell is closer to warm brine than anything resembling pork. That white liquid is not fat. It is water, injected into the meat during a process called wet curing, where a brine solution of water, salt, sugar, and preservatives is pumped into the pork through banks of needles. It takes minutes. Traditional dry curing takes days. That time difference is the entire business model. The water increases the weight. You pay meat prices for liquid that boils off the moment heat touches it. What is left once the water is gone is a thin, pale, rubbery rasher that does not crisp, does not caramel, and does not taste like the bacon your grandparents ate. At this price, the product is not engineered to deliver flavor. It is engineered to hit a weight and clear a shelf. Number 10. Morrison's Savers Back Bacon occupies the exact same tier and the same frying pan problem. White foam, dramatic shrinkage. A rasher that started looking generous and ended looking like an apology. The British Retail Consortium has warned that very little bacon sold in the UK contains less than 5% added water. At the budget end of the market, the water content runs significantly higher than that. Phosphates are often added to the brine to help the meat hold on to the injected water for longer, specifically so it still looks plump in the packet. That is not a food safety measure. That is a weight retention strategy. You are paying for the appearance of a full rasher. The moment the heat breaks the phosphate bond, the water releases. What remains is the actual amount of pork you purchased. It is not what the packet suggested. Number 9. Lidl Birchwood Farm. That name is doing everything. Birchwood Farm is not a farm. It is a brand name created by Lidl for their fresh meat range. There is no Birchwood. There is no farm. There is a label designed to put a countryside image in your head that the supply chain behind the product does not reflect. This practice is widespread across the discount supermarkets, and it is not illegal. But it is calculated. Research has shown that farm-style branding on packaging significantly increases consumer trust and willingness to pay, even when the product inside is identical to the unbranded budget option. The bacon itself is wet cured, contains added water, and is imported in several lines rather than British sourced. Consumer groups have documented how discount supermarket bacon carrying farm-style branding is frequently sourced from intensive continental systems, processed overseas, and packaged under names designed to suggest small-scale British production. None of that is illegal. All of it is deliberate. You are paying a small premium over the budget tier for a name that implies provenance without providing any. Number 8. Aldi Ashfield Farm. The same strategy, different retailer. Ashfield Farm does not exist as a working British farm. It is a brand name. Aldi uses it across their meat range to create an association with traditional farming that the product does not deliver. The bacon is wet cured with added water. Some lines are imported. Consistency varies between batches. which is a known side effect of sourcing from multiple suppliers depending on price. One pack can be reasonably meaty and evenly cut. The next can be thin, watery, and heavy on the fat. That inconsistency tells you the priority is cost management, not product quality. For the price, which typically sits between £2 and £3, you are getting a functional product. But the farm branding is doing work that the bacon itself does not justify. Number 7. Danepak. This brand has been a fixture in British fridges for decades. The packaging is familiar, the name feels established. But Danepak is Danish bacon, produced under Danish agricultural systems and shipped to the UK for processing or sale. The UK banned sow stalls in 1999 on welfare grounds. Denmark continued using them until the EU-wide phase-out in 2013. Farrowing crates, which confine a sow in a metal frame too small to turn around in, remain legal across much of Europe, including Denmark. In the UK, around 40% of sows are reared outdoors, and 90% of indoor sows are kept on straw. In most continental systems, pigs are raised on slatted concrete floors with no bedding. None of this appears on the front of the Danepak packet. What you see is a red and white design that feels familiar and trustworthy. What you are buying is a product from an agricultural system that would not meet the welfare standards most British consumers assume their bacon is produced under. It is wet-cured. It contains added water, and the welfare gap between British reared pork and standard Danish production is real, documented, and entirely absent from the label. Denmark slaughters approximately 25 million pigs per year. 75% of that production goes to export. The scale is industrial. The system is efficient. But efficiency and welfare are not the same thing. And most British shoppers reaching for Danepak have no idea the pig that produced their breakfast was raised under a system their own country rejected over 25 years ago. Number 6. Richmond bacon. Richmond built its name on sausages. The bacon range is the extension, and it carries the same philosophy. Read the ingredients and you will find a list longer than any single ingredient product should need. Added water, salt, dextrose, stabilizers, antioxidants, smoke flavoring. Smoke flavoring is not smoke. It is a liquid compound sprayed onto the meat to simulate the taste of a process that never happened. Real smoking involves hanging cured pork over smoldering wood for hours. That costs time and money. Smoke flavoring costs fractions of a penny per rasher. The product is designed to taste like something it is not. That is the defining feature of this end of the market. The rashers are thin, heavily processed, and designed for a price point rather than a plate. Richmond's strength is brand recognition. People trust the name from the sausage aisle and carry that trust into the bacon section. But sausages and bacon are different products with different quality markers, and the name on the front does not transfer the quality from one to the other. The rashers are notably thinner than most competitors at the same price, which means less meat per pack and more reliance on the additives to deliver a taste that the pork alone cannot. Number 5. Tesco own brand standard back bacon. This is where the market shifts from budget to mid-tier, and where most shoppers land. Not the cheapest, not the premium range, the one in the middle that feels like the sensible choice. It is still wet-cured. It still contains added water. The rashers still leach white liquid in the pan and shrink noticeably during cooking. The difference between this and the budget tier is largely cosmetic. Slightly thicker cut, slightly more uniform slicing, slightly better packaging. The curing method, the water content, the preservative load, all functionally identical. At around £3 to £4 a pack, you have crossed into the price range where dry-cured bacon from an independent producer becomes competitive. That comparison is the one the supermarket does not want you to make, because the moment you cook a dry-cured rasher next to a wet-cured one, the difference is not subtle. It is the difference between frying and boiling. Once you have seen it, you cannot unsee it. And once you have tasted dry-cured bacon cooked properly, the mid-tier supermarket pack tastes like exactly what it is: salted water flavored with pork. Number 4. Sainsbury's by Sainsbury's Standard Back Bacon. Same mid-tier territory, same curing method, same outcome. Wet cured with added water. Preservatives including sodium nitrite. The rashers look appealing in the packet because the curing process and the packaging atmosphere keep them pink. That pink color is not freshness. It is chemistry. Sodium nitrite reacts with the myoglobin in the pork to produce a stable pink pigment that persists long after the meat would naturally have turned gray. In 2015, the World Health Organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer classified processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen. That places it in the same evidence category as tobacco and asbestos. The specific mechanism is nitrosamines, compounds that form when nitrites react with amino acids in the meat, particularly during high heat cooking like frying. The WHO estimated that consuming 50 grams of processed meat per day, roughly 2 rashers, increases the risk of colorectal cancer by 18%. A 2020 study from Queen's University Belfast, the largest peer-reviewed analysis of residual nitrite levels in UK bacon ever conducted, found that nitrite concentrations varied enormously across products. The mean was 10.80 milligrams per kilogram, but some products sat dramatically higher. Every mid-tier supermarket bacon on this list uses sodium nitrite. It is not there for your benefit. It is there to keep the product pink on the shelf for longer. That is a commercial decision, not a safety one. Number 3. Co-op Irresistible Back Bacon. This one sits in the premium tier, and it hurts because the Co-op has built its brand on ethical sourcing and community values. Their irresistible range is positioned as the quality choice. The pork is British. It carries an outdoor bred or RSPCA assured label on many lines, which is genuinely a higher welfare standard than most of the supermarket shelf. But the curing method on the standard and many premium lines is still wet injection. The bacon still contains added water. The nitrites are still present. The welfare upgrade is real and worth acknowledging, but the processing method has not changed. You are getting a better raised pig put through the same industrial curing system as the budget tier. Better raw material, same factory shortcut. At around 4 to 5 pounds per pack, you are well within the range of properly dry cured bacon from a specialist producer. The ethical story on the front of the pack is real. The curing story on the back of it is not what the price implies. You are getting a genuinely better pig. You are not getting genuinely better bacon. That distinction matters because the processing is where the health and quality problems on this list originate, not the farm. Number 2. Tesco Finest Smoked Back Bacon and Sainsbury's Taste the Difference are being taken together because they represent the same trap. The premium supermarket tier. The gold label. The slightly heavier pack. The photography of a farmhouse kitchen on the sleeve. These products cost 5 to 6 pounds a pack. At that price, most shoppers believe they have solved the quality problem. They have not. Read the back of the pack. Many lines in both premium ranges are still wet cured with added water. Some use dry curing, some do not. And the front of the pack does not distinguish between them clearly. You need to find the small print and look for the phrase with added water or the word brine in the ingredients. If it is there, the premium price is buying you better packaging, not a fundamentally better product. The rashers may be thicker, the pork may be British or outdoor bred, but if the curing method is injection, you are still paying for water weight that will boil off in the pan. Premium pricing should mean premium process. When it does not, the label is doing the work the product should be doing. The simplest test is this. If a 5-pound pack of premium bacon still leaves white foam and a pool of liquid in your frying pan, the premium is in the price, not in the cure. Number 1. The real problem is not any single brand. It is the system. Approximately 90 to 95% of all bacon and ham sold in Britain is cured using sodium nitrite. That estimate comes from the Coalition Against Nitrites, a group of scientists who in late 2025 formally urged the UK Health Secretary to ban nitrites in processed meat and introduce cancer warning labels on packaging. Their demand came exactly 10 years after the WHO classified processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen. In that decade, successive UK governments have done virtually nothing to reduce the public's exposure. The Food Standards Agency's position remains that the link is inconclusive. Meanwhile, a 2025 laboratory study commissioned by the Coalition found nitrites present in every single bacon and ham product tested across major UK supermarkets. Wet curing dominates the market because it is fast, cheap, and allows manufacturers to sell water at meat prices. Dry curing takes days. Wet curing takes minutes. One requires skill and time. The other requires needles and pressure. The British public consumes over 226,000 tons of bacon per year. The vast majority of it is industrially injected with brine, preserved with a compound the WHO considers carcinogenic, and sold in packaging designed to prevent you from asking any of these questions. That is not a brand problem. That is a market problem. And nobody is printing it on the front of the packet. The good news is that the alternatives exist. They are available in the same supermarkets in most cases, and the difference in the pan is immediate. Number 3. Denhay Dry Cured Back Bacon. Denhay has been making bacon in Dorset for nearly 30 years and has won over 100 awards for taste and quality, including consistent gold at the Great Taste Awards and Taste of the West. The pork is British, outdoor bred, and Speaker assured. Every loin is hand-rubbed with sea salt and left to cure and mature slowly. No needles, no injected brine, no added water. The smoked varieties are smoked over real beechwood logs, not sprayed with liquid flavoring. Put a rasher of Denhay in a pan, and the difference is immediate. No white foam, no pool of liquid. The rasher stays close to the size it started at. It crisps, it caramelizes. It smells like pork, not brine. At around 4 to 5 pounds for a 200-gram pack, it sits at or just above the premium supermarket lines. But you are paying for actual meat, not water weight. Available at Waitrose, Sainsbury's, Ocado, and direct from their own website with nationwide delivery. If you are already spending £5 on a premium supermarket pack that is still wet cured, switching to Denhay costs you nothing extra and changes everything on the plate. The bacon holds its shape. The fat renders into something golden and crisp rather than something white and foamy. You are eating the product you paid for, not paying for a product and then watching half of it evaporate. Number 2. Finnebrogue Naked Bacon. This is the brand that solved the nitrite problem. Finnebrogue, a Northern Irish food producer, spent £14 million and over a decade developing a way to make bacon without sodium nitrite. They partnered with a Spanish food scientist who discovered that Mediterranean fruit and spice extracts could replace nitrites entirely, keeping the bacon pink, flavorful, and shelf-stable without the carcinogenic compound. Naked Bacon launched in 2018 and is now the UK's biggest branded bacon by sales. It contains no nitrites, no preservatives, no E numbers, and no allergens. In independent blind taste tests, it was rated as good as or better than traditionally cured competitors. The pork is British or Irish at 91% meat content. Professor Chris Elliott, who ran the UK government's investigation into the 2013 horsemeat scandal, called it a very welcome development for food safety. It is stocked in Tesco, Sainsbury's, Waitrose, and Morrison's. The smoked variety uses a process that delivers 99% less tar and chemicals than traditional smoking. At around £3 for a pack, it is competitive with mid-tier supermarket bacon while being genuinely different in composition. If the nitrite question matters to you, and the WHO says it should, this is the answer that is already sitting on the shelf. It proves that the industry's standard defense, that nitrites are necessary for safety, color, and flavor, is no longer true. A £14 million investment proved you can make bacon without them. The question is why the rest of the industry has not followed. The answer, as always, is cost. Nitrites are cheaper, fruit extracts are not. But the product works, the taste holds up, and the cancer risk drops. That trade-off should not be difficult. Number 1. Your local butcher. Not a brand, a relationship. An independent butcher who dry cures on site is doing something no supermarket supply chain can replicate. They are taking whole loins of British pork, rubbing them by hand with salt and seasoning, and letting time do what needles and brine are designed to shortcut. The cure takes days, not minutes. There is no added water because there is no injection. The bacon is sliced to the thickness you ask for, from a piece of meat you can see in the counter. No modified atmosphere packaging keeping it artificially pink. No sodium nitrite extending shelf life by a week. No label to decode because the person behind the counter can tell you exactly where the pig was raised, how the bacon was cured, and when it was sliced. It will cost more per pack than the budget supermarket tier. It will cost roughly the same as the premium lines. And it will be a fundamentally different product in every way that matters. If there is a butcher near you, try it once. Cook one rasher of theirs next to one from your usual supermarket pack. You will hear the difference before you taste it. One fries, the other boils. That comparison is the most convincing argument you will ever encounter for not going back. Farm shops are worth a specific mention. Many now stock locally cured bacon from small producers who dry cure by hand, smoke over real wood, and sell at prices that compete directly with the premium supermarket range. If the nearest butcher is a drive away, a farm shop may already be closer than you think. A simple rule that cuts through everything. Look for the words dry cured on the front of the pack. If it says dry cured, the bacon was salted and matured over time. No water was injected. The rasher you see is the rasher you get. If it does not say dry cured, or if it says with added water anywhere on the label, the bacon was injected. You are paying for water weight that will disappear the moment the pan heats up. That is the one filter. Everything else follows from it. Dry cured bacon does not leave white foam in your pan. It does not shrink to half its size. It does not taste like salt water. It tastes like pork, because that is what it is. The difference is not marginal. It is the difference between a product engineered to hit a price point and a product made to be eaten. 90 to 95% of supermarket bacon still uses nitrites. The WHO classified processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen a decade ago. Scientists are calling for warning labels. The government has not acted. The supermarkets keep selling the same product because shoppers keep buying it without checking the back of the packet. Now you know what to check. Tell us in the comments what brand is currently in your fridge and whether you are going to switch after watching this. If this was useful, share it with someone who still grabs the same pack on autopilot every week. Subscribe so you do not miss the next investigation. See you in the next one.